sophisticated than the late-night audience. I love this. It's great to be here in the earlier time slot, which, of course, means we're now the warm-up act for Margaret and David, which is a dream come true.
Absolutely. Although I must say, look, I think we might have our work cut out for us a little bit. I mean, you guys, you're all looking very good, but... I mean, have you seen how sloppy David and Margaret are 30 minutes before their show starts?
Come on, guys.
Get ready.
Go and have a shower, both of you. Preferably not together this once. All right, and while they do that, let's get into this week's Limbo Roundup.
Yes, and the nation remains in limbo tonight after neither party was able to win an outright majority on Saturday night.
Yes, and as we go to air, the result is still very much on a knife edge, which is fairly appropriate given the whole election began with a knife edge. So, Jules, where are we at? Talk us through the latest.
Well, look, it's almost certain that we'll end up with a hung parliament, and if we actually just have a look at the chamber, this is how a hung parliament looks. As you can see, the ALP hasn't really taken to that very well.
No, look, it was a shocking result for Labor, wasn't it? I mean, whatever way you look at it. And now there's very much a damage control, aren't they? I mean, Gillard even refused to let one of their key power brokers, Mark Arbib, to go on the Q&A this week, forcing them to leave an empty chair in his place.
It was pretty full-on defensive tactic by Gillard, and not confined to Q&A either. Like, even in Mark Arbib's family car, the driver's seat is now left empty. It's very dangerous, but, you know, that's what Gillard does.
She's a very tough woman. Look, there's no question, Gillard is under pressure. I mean, she's only been Prime Minister for 62 days now, and you'll remember that at the start of her reign, she made a very bold prediction.
There will be some days I delight you. There may be some days I disappoint you.
So let's just break it down and have a look at how Gillard's fared. If we see the days she's delighted us, that's sitting at 1. That was her first day as PM. And days she's disappointed us, well, that's pretty well every single day since.
Yes. But, of course, now the ALP recriminations begin in earnest. And Maxine McHugh was the first member to openly criticise Labor's campaign, although she wasn't quite as candid as some people are saying she was. Like when Kerry O'Brien asked her if she had any regrets. I think we all know what she was really thinking.
Any regrets about doing all this, Maxine McHugh?
No. None. Absolutely none, Kerry. No, come on. This is... look, it's... I made a very clear decision. I wanted to play a role in public life.
And
desperate.
Yeah. So now Labor's best hope of surviving is to form a minority government with the Greens and, of course, the 3 independents.
Yes, the regional renegades. We've got Tony Windsor, Bob Katter and Rob Oakeshott. They now hold the key to this unique situation. In fact, if we just have another look at the chamber... Now, that baby bassinet there, that's just Wyatt Roy. But on the independent benches, Bob Katter's offered to form a minority government with whoever lets him bring his horse into Parliament.
He is a maverick, that man.
I love Bob.
You got to love Bob, but he is a maverick. And, you know, I think some people say that he's a bit stuck in the past. I don't think that's fair, even though Bob himself is not quite sure what era he is living in.
We're moving out of the 19th century into the, whatever we're in, the 21st.
It's hard to keep up. It's hard. I don't know.
It won't be easy for Gillard and Abbott to negotiate with Katter. He's a hard man to please, especially when you look at the issues that he's named as the real deal breakers.
There's a freedom issue here. You know, we're not allowed to fish much at all. We're not allowed to go camping or shooting or even boiling the billy.
The billies.
There you go. It all comes down to Australians' right to boil the billy.
Absolutely. Bob's one of those people who, you know, puts a good cup of tea ahead of responsible bushfire management. It's fair enough.
I'm with him on this. I love the billy. The billy's an important part of who we are. I mean, I was making a cup of tea just this morning in the office and people love the culture of the billy. Teething problems. Normally it's fine.
But to help put the Bob Katter bargaining position in some kind of context, would you please welcome Australia's foremost bush balladeer, Andrew Hansen.
Once a jolly madman camped by a billabong. No, really, that's actually where Bob Katter lives. Under the shade of a macubra or 3. And he sat and he waited for a permit for his billy to boil. Oh, you'll come a waltzing, Bob Katter, with me. Down came a lame duck mounted on a faceless man. Up jumped the madman and told her with glee, we must stop parallel imports of Filipino bananas in our tucker bags. Oh, now she'll come a-courtin' Bob Catter with me. Up rode the stutterer, mounted on his 12-speed. Down came the climate deniers, 1, 2, 3. Bob said, who's that jolly dumb fuck you've got in your cabinet? You won't court Bob Catter with Barnaby. Ah, camping with Catter, fishing with Catter, who'll come a-shooting with Catter and me. You'd be forgiven for thinking that bloke must be smoking on a billy bong. But now everybody's waltzing with Bob Catter and me.
I felt disillusioned and let down by the two major parties. That's why I voted Greens.
I'm an inner-city trendy who's never had to deal with real issues like drought, transport or having to run your own business. That's why I voted Greens.
I'm trying to get into the pants of this hot hippie girl who's into dolphins and shit. That's why I voted Greens.
I'm a cool hipster from Melbourne who always goes against the grain just to look alternative. That's why I voted Greens.
I was just stoned on election day. That's why I voted Greens.
The Greens, the wanker's choice since 1972.
It is time now to take a look at how the night itself unfolded last Saturday. The highs and the lows of what was an extraordinary election night.
Yes, neither leader conceded on Saturday night, but they both made speeches at their party headquarters. Gillard's speech was quite a subdued affair, whereas Abbott's was a lot more rousing. Look, the Libs were definitely having a happier night, and the great thing about Liberal supporters is they really don't care about what's good for the country, so long as it's good for them.
They're going to look after me and my money.
And look, the big call of the night was also won by the ABC, I thought. Yep. Not the call of the election, but the call to cut out of Kevin Rudd's smug election speech first.
Yeah, I got to say, Kerry O'Brien shows experience in spades, I thought. Not only calling it first, but getting the reasons right too.
The Liberals have suffered a primary vote swing against them of 1%.
Now, we're cutting away from Kevin Rudd at this point, and it could go on for some time.
It did go on for some time. It was beautifully played by Kerry. That was an incredibly bland speech. And if anyone wants to hear the whole thing, it's not worth tracking down. But to convey the basic gist, we've asked the Russian YouTube star, Mr. Trololo, to summarise the speech in song. That's more like it.
Now, ratings-wise, the ABC was the big winner on the night. Yes. In fact, the ABC analysis was so much better that even Channel 7 decided to ditch their own reporter and just film the big screen with Kerry on it.
Although, not to be outdone, Sky News is making some pretty big claims of their own. According to David Spears, the whole world was watching their coverage.
We have viewers joining us tonight in Washington, also across the Pacific, across Asia and in China as well on CCTV.
Well, they were on CCTV in China, and I know there are a lot of people in China's 7-Elevens who really appreciated that. I mean, they go nuts for David Spears.
I love it.
Oh, Spearsy in China, like that.
But the best thing about election night are the dummy spits and the stoushes.
Oh, yeah.
And last Saturday, there were lots of them. There were exchanges between Michael Kroger and Wayne Swan, Barnaby Joyce and Mark Habib. But the harshest call of the night, I thought, came from Laurie Oakes to Mark Latham.
Revenge is sweet. Oh. Sometimes on election night, even winners can be losers.
Yes.
Like National Party leader Warren Truss, who, now, he recorded some big gains that night, but he finally has a chance to have his moment in the sun and...
I do have Warren Truss here with me. How are you feeling?
Well, certainly the Nationals have done well. All of our sitting members have had significant...
We're being interrupted, I think. We've just had Bob Brad walk onto the tally roof. We might actually just go over and have a listen to Bob. Warren, do you mind if we come back to you?
OK.
And they never came back to poor old Warren.
Poor old Warren, always the bridesmaid. But look, it wouldn't be an election night without the usual accusations of ABC bias, which I think, frankly, are unfounded, even though Kerry O'Brien still can't tell the ALP and ABC apart.
Slight swing to the ABC and to the ALP. That's the second time I've done this in 10 years. I wish those letters weren't so similar.
Poor I mean, at least he can laugh about it. It was a nervous laugh, admittedly, which we now present for you in song.
But personally, I don't see where all this talk of ABC bias comes from. I mean, it's not just the channel for elitist lefties. It's
no,
far from it.
No, you've only got to look at the sort of places they go for the Your Shout Vox Pops on Insiders to see that this is a network with its finger on the pulse of ordinary Aussie battlers.
I'm here with some members of the Canberra Antique Classic Motor Club,
the Melbourne Chess Club,
the Perth Jazz Society,
the Tasmanian Fine Food Awards,
the Amateur Winemakers and Brewers Club.
A group of athletes about to go overseas for the World Dwarf Games.
You don't get more representative than the World Dwarf Games, do you?
No, you don't. Now, this election was very unusual, but some things never change in elections, like those swarms of people who try and hand out how to vote cards at polling stations.
Yes, they're a pain in the arse. And at the Chaser here, we have a bit of a tradition every election of exploring some easy ways of trying to avoid the guys who hand out the flyers.
We do. So, straight to technique one, impersonating a sex offender. Now, this one's particularly effective when voting in a primary school, and it worked pretty well at first.
Would you like my support? Would you like my support?
Christian Democrats.
I should have known a sex offender would be no deterrent for the Christian Democrats. For technique two, I got a little more direct. And this started off well too. Come on. But then one of them went in for the kill. Unfortunately, she saw my sign and... Think about it.
Whoa,
she's gone. But alas, I got cornered by the persistent Liberal anyway.
You voting?
Damn it! No luck there either. So, for my final attempt, I tried a, shall we say, more committed approach by chopping off my arms.